We try to do routes that we know and are familiar with, and a lot of those routes have some features that can be like fun and make cool pictures, like a VADO or a, you know, like just a perfect dip that has a nice landing and is a controlled, like safe way to have a little fun air out your truck. So there's a couple of those on this trip. One wasn't quite as smooth as the other, and like I'm sure like the video will show like some spots where like there's people kind of hit the face of it, but you know, it's a fun way to like for people to do what they think these trucks are meant to do, like air them out and stuff. And you know,
there's like this one legendary jump, so like if anyone's seen some of the previous Baja Raptor Run videos, like there's this one iconic scene where this Raptor is just fully sent. That's the stretch that we were on third day. 45 is like the ideal speed, that's a sweet spot, and we hit it maybe at 55 and we really sent it.
We did better this year than we did last year, but a pretty exciting time when that 4 seconds, maybe it's 2 seconds, but it feels like eternity, and it's really awesome to see what those trucks can do.
So that was the first time I jumped my truck ever. You hit that thing and you're just like, okay, there's hang time, and we're still in the air, and we're still in the air, and now we're landing. And then there was a couple days after where we were on this long straightaway. That must have been a few miles, and you started to get this little hills and dips, right? And I was starting to get air at like 95 miles an hour. It's crazy.
The truck has a Baja mode, and I'm like, I wonder what Ford would say if I was doing this, but this is what it's made for. So it just blows everything away. I can't believe how they perform and the performance in them. You know, we're catching like crazy air, and the truck just takes it and keeps on going.
Christian, how fast was that?
Too fast. Too fast.
Next time, let me know, Victor. Your camera, get on the radio, call me and say, Chris, it's a heater, slow the fuck down. I think it was personally probably the highest jump in Baja. I may be the highest jumper in Baja. We're gonna work on confirming that today, but preliminary reports are that I am in fact the highest jumper in Baja. So I've always been the fastest and the highest, I'm the flyest, I'm everything about.
Oh man, it definitely brings out my nerves sometimes around the corners and some of the jumps, but luckily everything's been good, and we've been going fast, that's for sure.
It was definitely a moment where it's like we were hanging in the air for a long, like the time slows down. And yeah, I think that was another like moment that will stick with me, as just being in the air, traveling, and then we touched down. A pretty smooth landing considering how fast we were moving, but that was a ton of fun. And I hope I get to experience it again in the next trip for sure.
I keep on doing things and I'm just like, I should have like something off alignment. I should probably have a little more consequences for the decisions I'm making. No consequences, just greatness. That's all there is.
Our friend Christian, some people would say he's the fastest driver in Baja, and I can't say that either way, but I would say that Christian is definitely like the life and fun of the trip, and you gotta be on your A game if you're not gonna become a joke for him.
Need a triple double, told him check the stats, yeah I got a couple, I don't drive the ball, nah I never fumble, I'm the MVP, now I feel like Russell, yeah I need it now, told him on the lay, I've been moving dog, yeah I'm on the way.
Something funny about the fastest driver in Baja, Christian, is he is terrified of heights. And so anytime we get on like a mountain pass or a road that's super skinny with a lot of like exposure, he gets pretty nervous, so he gets pretty quiet on the radio. So he may be the fastest on the flat straight, but when it comes to being in the mountains, I don't think that's his thing.
You know, it's good to be with a driver who doesn't like the downhills, because they are focusing on the road 100%. I get the nice views, and I know that they're staring down the road.
He was taking a little bit longer. Christian may have been a little bit slower this trip. I don't know if he's the fastest guy in Baja anymore. I'm not gonna say Christian was scared, especially on camera.
Nah, I wasn't scared. I just keep my eyes on the road. I'm not a big fan of heights. There's muchos exposure. Yeah, I'm the fastest driver in Baja, not the farthest flyer. 1,300 foot drop don't do you no good. You're dead at the end of it. Big facts.
I think this trip really opened his eyes, because he realizes that he may not be the fastest driver in Baja anymore. So he's kind of quiet now, and I think he's reconsidering it. So he claims he's the fastest, but I might have some video proof of somebody beating him. So if not, it's very close. So you know, next year he's definitely going to have a run for his money.
When you say you're the fastest driver in Baja, and then you got, what, 8 other trucks that are willing to prove you wrong, I wouldn't want to be in that position. But it was a beautiful drive, to be fair.
Surf Pro, aka Christian, the fastest driver in Baja, allegedly, of course, because I'm on his tail, and he knows that. He was taking his time yesterday because he wanted to enjoy the views, and that was smart. I was respecting that. I was hanging back. Tell you what, the one thing that Christian is good at is looking out for that exposure. But he knows that when he slows down like that, someone's coming right up on his tail. And he's got to look out for me next time. The trails that we travel on, it's not a playground. Like, you have to be super careful. You have to be super diligent. I mean, there's real risk with being out here. Like, you know, there's big opportunity for mishaps to occur. So I think there are really sobering moments when you're like traveling and you actually realize how far down that cliff is. While it's a ton of fun to like just rip through some of these trails, like there are days where it's like, man, I am sweating, and it's pretty scary.
When you're traveling through Baja, like, I feel like Trey does a really good job of giving an idea of what we're gonna see, but just kind of letting us experience it for itself. You see a lot of different ecosystems. There's a lot of desert and a lot of dirt, but there's also a lot of beautiful like agriculture through Baja as well. And of course, the beach on both sides is absolutely amazing. With Trey, we kind of bounce back and forth, which is so cool. You never know where you're gonna end up, but it's definitely gonna be epic.
It's like a whole new world, man. It's like you're it's like you're on a different planet. In some areas, you'll drive for a minute, you'll be in the desert, and then you'll come up on this beautiful beach, emerald water, you know, just amazing scenery.
Yesterday was one of the craziest days because we started out on the Gulf side and came all the way across. We're up in the mountains and coming across a ridge, and it's nothing but desert, cactus, you know, really no green vegetation at all. And we could look over the cliff there to the right, and we saw just a valley of palm trees. I was like, that's awesome. So I snapped a picture, and we worked our way down the mountain, and we got in the bottom, and it was just miles of palm trees and fresh vegetation, a bunch of people living in the bottom, farmers. It was really, really interesting. And then we made our way to the coast, and from the time we left the higher elevation in the desert to the coast, it was like a 20-degree temperature difference.
Mountains, you see cactus, you see palm trees. It changes daily. I want to say we've gone up to 4,000 feet of elevation, gone down to the beach at 0, back up to 2,000. You're just crisscrossing back and forth.
One of the things we always tell everyone when they come down here is like how many different types of terrain and environments you'll see, and it just happens so quick. You go from being in a pine forest sometimes to like a true like sort of desert like you would think of in your mind with like cactus and all that, and then you get a little further and it's more tropical, and then be more rugged around the next corner, or Sea of Cortez or the Pacific, and it just constantly changes. Like, it's not just one stereotypical kind of terrain. There's all sorts of terrain down here, and that's really what I think surprises people the most when they come on these trips.
And I'll do it again.
The one thing that's like super special about Baja is just the history. I've seen a lot of cool places, but like there's not many places where there's this long-lasting history, and like the history comes in the form of architecture. In this case, like some of the missions from the 1700s that are still standing and that have been really well preserved. You know, it is like taking a step back in time. When you're in a place like one of these missions that was built in like the 1700s, you can like feel the energy from 300 years ago, like resonating from the building. I don't know, it's really cool. It's something really special about it, because there have been so many people that have stepped through the doorway. You know, it's cool.
Honestly, the missions is probably one of the things I found the most fascinating. I think we've seen maybe a half dozen different ones, and you know, each one is unique, and it's just crazy to think that they built them back in the 1700s and they're still here and people are still going there to worship. It was very, very interesting.
The slow trips to me so far have been the best. As you said, the missions in every little town you go to, being able to pay respect in that town and to their culture and what they do, seeing the locals go in and pray, light candles for family has been a great thing also.
Baja is a little behind on the time, so it does feel like you step back in time some places, especially somewhere like San Juanico where we are now, where it's just, there's no power grid, there's no water, anything like that. It's all, you know, just a little different, and it makes you appreciate what you have, but really enjoy being down somewhere like this where you can just relax and don't have to worry about anything.
When you get out to the beach and you see these small places, very modest places with this beautiful ocean access, there's not one person on the beach besides us and all of our trucks. It really is amazing to kind of come back in time, and all the things here that you see you would never be able to do in the States, and that's what's so amazing about the energy and the beauty and the people of Baja. Here we are on the Pacific coast of Baja doing what I call man stuff.
Quickly, everyone decided it'd be a good idea to see how fast and who had the best truck down the beach.
You can really get to enjoy, you know, what your truck can do, ripping up and down the beach with these like dunes that were the size of mountains.
I think that's when Chris really started to realize he wasn't the fastest Baja driver anymore. Got out in front of him, and I never saw him again except for my rearview mirrors.
Yeah, you better.